Hello world, this is your guy Guitar K, and today we're going to be talking about educated fools and smart dummies. Now, I have been called both of these things numerous times. Now, to give us a base point, a starting point, something to kind of nail home what I'm talking about, we're going to go to the Bible. Proverbs 9:10. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom and knowledge. This verse highlights that true wisdom and understanding originate from a place of reverence and respect for God. It's not merely about intellectual knowledge, but about a deep foundational respect that shapes one's actions and worldview. That's a mouthful right there. Look, man. You ever heard somebody say you're so smart, you're stupid, or you're too smart for your own good? Now, you could be real intellectually smart, but keep making the dumbest life choices. Now, true wisdom would be to gain knowledge and apply that to your life so that it balances things out to put you in the best possible positions all across the board. I'm talking in your financial life, of course, but also in your health life, in your social life, in your relationships with your family. You would use this knowledge and wisdom to benefit you best all across the board. That is what true wisdom and knowledge is for, to apply it, not just to have a bunch of information swirling around your head so you could just prove people wrong and walk around with your chest puffed out because you know so much. Being smarter than someone doesn't make you better than someone. Knowing everything makes you crazy at the end of the day, because you can have so much knowledge. You could be blinded by knowledge. You could be blinded by thinking you know everything over here, but when you get over here, you don't know nothing. They say that it was Socrates, I believe, said it, that to know thyself, to know your own weaknesses and strengths, and to be able to maneuver through the world and make it in practical decisions. Education is to use, not just to gain, not just to have all this book smarts. And I guess what we call it is like street smarts, or you want to call it like real world knowledge. Can you apply it when it needs to be applied right on point? To just have all this knowledge and not be able to use it at the right time is crazy. Let me just give you a real quick example before we get into the meat and potatoes. Now, I had a counselor. Now, we was talking about the DSM. That's the book that talks about, all the mental health disorders that people go through. Now, she said that she read it, but she only read it just to pass the test, just to get the job. Now, she suffered from mental health issues still to this day. And she didn't use none of that information to help herself get better with her mental health issues. So she still struggled with those, but she got her job. But in the long run, mental health issues cause you stress, which causes you health problems. So how crazy is that at the end of the day? I mean, I'm not here to judge. I'm not here to speak bad about anyone, but that is a stark example of misused knowledge and misused wisdom. Now, I'm not saying that we don't need jobs, because we do, but it would be more wise to use that information to benefit yourself, because at the end of the day, your health and your life is more important than any job, because at the end of the day, you need to be alive and well to do your job at its best. Look, man, real knowledge begins, when you have a healthy fear for life. Let's just say even for the people, let me not call you crazy. The people that don't really believe in God. Let's just take that out and say you have a healthy respect for life. You have a healthy respect for wisdom. You have a healthy respect for being safe as you navigate through this world. You're not want to put yourself in any crazy, dangerous situations. So you have all that knowledge. You have all that information. But if you can't apply it, if you keep putting yourself in toxic relationships, if you keep putting yourself in crazy, dangerous situations that's not in your best interest, all that knowledge is not serving you. It's a lot of geniuses in prison. It's a lot of geniuses in the grave that could have used some common sense to get themselves out of the situations that they got themselves into. So all them years of studying didn't get them out of a common sense situation. You got to learn to apply wisdom. My grandmother, She didn't even finish high school, but she had real world wisdom that kept her safe from ever going to prison, from ever being in any bad financial debt. You know, this is what I'm talking about. Can you apply all this information? You know, somebody can learn one or two skills and be a king with just those one or two skills, because it's really not about what you know. It's kind of more about what you don't do. It's kind of about, can you control your emotions? Do you have some self-control? Do you know how to treat people? Do you know how to not let people treat you anyway? About respect, about hygiene, about taking care of yourself, going to the doctor, going to the dentist. You know, Albert Einstein, you know, one of the smartest people of all time, at the end of the day, he died from complications from constantly smoking a pipe. Now, I'm not saying that he wasn't smart as far as IQ, but at the end of the day, it's not smart to keep smoking a pipe when you know it's killing you. That's all I'm saying, man. Look, when you got real world wisdom, it's going to show up in your family life. It's going to show up in your spiritual life, your social life, your health, your mental health, your respect, your kindness. You know, you're sharing the information. Are you enlightening others? Are you lifting other people up, man? Look, you're reading all these books and you're just hoarding the information for yourself and you're not willing to share it. How smart is that, man? You're so smart, you're stupid. You're too smart for your own good. Again, an educated fool. Look, those books, at the end of the day, I mean, I get it. There's nothing wrong with being smart. There's nothing wrong with having knowledge. Look, man, I was an honor roll student. I had a 4.0 grade average in college. But at the end of the day, when I got out in the real world, it didn't stop me from associating with bad association. Like my grandmother told me, she read the scripture to me out the Bible. Bad association spoil useful habits. So I got around the wrong crowd, and all the book smarts didn't stop me from getting hooked on alcohol, getting hooked on drugs, and having a rough life. This is what I'm talking about. I didn't have a healthy fear of the knowledge that my grandmother told me. Now, had I had practiced that, maybe I could have used my intellect and all of that, but it started with me not having a healthy fear of God. Let's say some of my old favorite rap groups back in the day. I was real big on Wu-Tang. That's my favorite. I also was real big on Bad Boy back in the day. Now, Wu-Tang was rapping about knowledge of self and peace to the gods and respect to the earth and everything like that. And, you know, Bad Boy was talking about Versace and drinking and partying and all of that. And let's look at the levels of where they at now. You know, they say that Puffy was a real smart businessman. You know, he changed the game and all this and all of that. But let's look at where that got him at today. Let's look at, let's say, the RZA and Puffy today. They both was great producers back in the early 90s. They both made great music, in my opinion. But let's look at where their lifestyles and the things that they was rapping about. Let's see where it got them at. We know the stories, man. This is all I'm saying, man. A healthy fear of some knowledge and wisdom. You know, they say that wisdom is more, you know, is better than silver and gold. It's more valuable. I'm not saying that silver and gold is not valuable. I'm just saying that wisdom is just a little more valuable. Because without it, you're never going to keep your silver and gold. It's going to eventually all catch up to you, i.e., you know, the situation that Puffy is in right now. And I'm not hating on Puffy. I'm just saying, I'm just using that as an example, man. Look, you could be blinded by knowledge. You could think you know everything. You a know-it-all. You just like to prove people wrong. Just want to be in contest with everybody. No, you're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. Like I said, it's to know your own self, to know your own weaknesses, to know that you will never know everything. Look, you can't know everything. It's impossible to know everything. You give reverence to your creator. You can't be more smarter than your creator, man. You got to take advantage of knowledge, you know, and use it to make your life better. That's what it's all about. It's not to make anybody else feel bad. It's for you to build yourself up, man. Take notes. Ask questions. Don't sit there and act like you know what's going on and you don't. Be self-aware. Be mindful, man. Look, true knowledge and wisdom come from living life and experience and having a healthy fear for what could happen and knowing that you will never, ever know it all. Why would you want to know it all? You don't need to. You need to know what you need to know to be the best possible you. That's all you need to know, man. And just have a healthy respect for others. Have a super duper respect for yourself. Treat yourself as best as you can. I'm talking exercise, what you eat, what you say, what you allow say to you, what you allow to be said to you, the people that you associate with, man. This is all, comes from experience of true wisdom and knowledge. This is what it's all about. It's not just about knowing everything. It's not just about reading a bunch of books and being able to recite a bunch of information back. You're just regurgitating information. Can you apply it when it needs to be applied? That's what I'm talking about, man. Have a healthy fear of the Lord. Have a healthy fear of what could happen to you if you do the wrong things. Again, don't be an educated fool. Don't be a smart dummy. And like I said, man, disclaimer, I have been guilty of these things forever. I'm 48 years old, man. I was real good in school. I was real smart. My grandmother I had encyclopedias. I'm a heavy reader, and sometimes I like to prove people wrong. And especially now in this world of Google, somebody will be quick to let's Google that. For what? What does it prove by you proving somebody else wrong? How does that help you? It does nothing. Build people up. Teach people. If you know a lot, teach someone. If anything, that will benefit you. That's how real reverence comes. That's how real esteem is built. Because you know that you're using that knowledge to help someone, not to degrade people, not to make people feel less than. You're using it to build people up. Don't be an educated fool. Don't be a smart dummy, man. Use it to show love back. Show that you're grateful for what you know by letting everybody else know what you know. Look, man. Hopefully you got something out of this. I know when I start thinking this way, I start feeling better. It kind of took away some of that ego, some of that pride, the things that could kill us, that poison that we have inside of us that we hold on to for so long, man. Don't be an educated fool. This is your guy, Guitar K. Be more